I know, right?
You're the man.
I do what I can. All right, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for the delay. I'm TJ,
And I'm Kent.
and welcome to episode 26, the Corona Special. So, folks, as I'm sure you are all well aware, the nation has been plagued by, well, a plague of sorts, and with all the mass
Jesus
hysteria and
Christ.
yeah, I
Uh,
don't ever stop. I don't ever miss an opportunity to slip in those dad jokes when I can. But with that being said, uh, Kent and I thought it would be prudent to go ahead and have a discussion about emergency preparedness and uh, what you can do to stop impulse purchasing all the damn toilet paper in the Walmart. Uh, with that being said, Kent, how have things been faring for you guys up there where you're at?
My butt is so clean. You have no idea.
Oh, I believe it.
I'm just trying to check the YouTube stream so that I can respond to all of our comments.
Yeah, I'll
Things have been
see them.
going good.
By the way, I'll see them here. So, folks, real quick. So, what we've been dealing with is essentially a technical difficulty with our original streaming service. We had to uh, pretty much jump through our own butt to figure out an alternative to our typical broadcasting application, and then we came across this thing, and I'm already liking this a lot better, bro. I don't know about you, but I think this one.
You're driving.
This might be the keeper. So we'll see what happens. But as always, as we talk through tonight, be sure to post your comments in the chat. We will be addressing your comments and questions live on air. But so things have been getting actually pretty crazy for us. So they closed schools up there in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, I'm not convinced we're live, buddy.
Oh, I'm watching it right now on our YouTube studio. Yeah, we're good.
All right, my bad. Found the wrong feed.
Yeah, there's a bit of a duplication there. So let me see. Yeah, we're good. I think we're solid. We'll figure it out. I mean, worst case, we get another adult in here that can actually supervise this whole operation.
I know, right? Is they gonna be able to make comments?
Yeah, should be able to.
Oh, there. How about the links that we sent out before? Are they gonna be valid?
Considering the link is to our channel and not just the video, damn Skippy.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sling'N podcast. I'm TJ.
Yeah. Welcome to like 5 minutes ago, bro.
I'm TJ.
Yeah, I'm T. Ron Burgundy. What? I don't know what's going on.
Sorry, dude. Anywho, to answer your question, oh my God, y'all need to stop your panicking. Stop punching old people in the Walmart parking lot. It's really gonna be okay. We're in full apocalypto shutdown mode over here. Ain't nobody doing nothing. Schools are closed. The state, everything is closed. About the only people going to work are doctors, EMTs, cops, tax accountants, and drug dealers. Shit's pretty lit. Yeah, guys are online buying up all the ammo. Cheaper than dirt is gouging like a motherfucker, selling 9mm for $1.30 a round.
Oh, dude, that is crazy. So, real quick, I feel like this is an important moment to educate our viewers and our listeners. Cheaper than dirt is. You are terrible. We are so going to get sued. Anyway, so cheaper than dirt is notorious for price gouging. You guys think it's ridiculous what some individual private citizens are selling toilet paper rolls for in their front yard? Well, how about what do they do? Quadruple the pricing on just about everything that's a commodity. So like 5.56 ammunition, 7.62 ammunition, it's all ridiculous. What would have gone originally for about $300 is now closer to $1,000.
Yep.
And it's absolutely asinine. Absolutely asinine. So cheaper than dirt, shame on you. You guys can go lick doorknobs in Wuhan, China. So anyway,
unless you'd like to be our ammo sponsor, in which case,
I mean,
still fuck you. Still fuck you. I wouldn't take it for free. Fuck
yeah,
you.
They're selling it for enough where they could probably pick up a few sponsors or sponsor a few people.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I just so I've seen. I mean, people are hitting us up asking, "Oh my God, what gun should I buy? You know, what should I have in my house?" So I think tonight what we're gonna do is we're gonna break down for you guys what you should have in your home and in your vehicle to be prepared for an emergency. An emergency. The thing is what their emergency is doesn't necessarily matter. This could have easily been a hurricane or a blizzard or, Godzilla or something.
Dogs and cats sleeping together.
Right.
It could have been anything. So let's back up a little bit. So let's talk about the topics of what people need to focus on. So those of you that watch survival shows and stuff like that have probably heard of the Holy Trinity, right? So water, food, and shelter. Those are the three basic things that a human needs to survive anywhere. I like to consider it I like to consider a fourth, and that's something to make fire with. So food, water, shelter, fire. I consider it its own category. You could easily lump it in, and there is an argument to be made to kind of lump it in with food. But if you think of it as its own category, it certainly allows you to apply the proper amount of priority to that topic to make sure that you get everything you need. Notice that nowhere in there did I say anything about ass paper.
Yeah. Poo paper is not a necessity.
I also want to point out that the organic food section and all the healthy food is completely untouched.
Oh yeah. Ain't nobody got time for no vegetables or, canned beans.
We might die. Grab the Funyuns.
Yeah. We're over in freaking Pop-Tart land and frozen pizza aisle. It's awesome. Yeah.
So anyway, Kent, I think let's start at the most obvious. So food, right?
Asking the fat guy about food. Go figure.
Well, I mean, I'm a fat guy and I think about food, so it just seemed to make sense and fall into place. So now, real quick, I do also want to. I think we need to qualify your experience in this arena because Kent, you make my emergency preparedness seem elementary at best. So you are used to, for lack of a better word, surviving in the Arctic Circle. I think that's where Vermont is, right?
It's not quite that bad.
It's an old Inuit word for holy shit, that's high.
Yeah. Sophie and I had our first kiss like Eskimos. We just like this.
It's because you were frozen solid.
Yeah. Here's the thing. This is going to apply whether we're talking about food or whether we're talking about cleaning supplies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My wife was raised on the side of a mountain on a dirt road in a town in Vermont with less than, I'm going to say, 500 people in it. Forgive me, folks, if there are 505 of y'all now, right? Mm-hmm. So my in-laws kind of live this life just on the daily, right? They always had extra food in their house. They always had canned goods. They always had a garden, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And for at least half the year, travel was kind of a pain in the rear end. Nobody wants to drive in a snowstorm 40 minutes to the Walmart. Like, it's just not a thing you want to do. So Sophie and I lived in the ski industry in Vermont forever. We kind of lived that same life. And we lived through Hurricane Irene in Killington, Vermont, where we were cut off from civilization forever. One of the things that you have to realize about who I am as a person is that most of my hobbies kind of lead me down this path by necessity. I like to go camping, hunting, fishing, shooting. All these things are kind of intertwined to the point where yeah, I have a camp stove. Yes, I have water purification. Yeah, the list goes on. And I spent a lot of my recreational time doing just that for fun. What y'all are worried about, which P.S., I have not seen any serious interruption in societal norms yet. Nobody's power's out, nobody's internet's out, nobody's toilets are failing to flush, etc. But I enjoyed multiple day camping trips in the wilderness as part of a recreational fun activity. So the idea of having to put some equipment in a bag and live out of my truck for a couple days isn't scary to me. It's actually kind of fun. But yeah, I mean, as far as food goes, Sophie and I probably generally always have about 15 to 20 days worth of food on hand at the house. Life has gotten a little crazy recently with the addition of a newborn, but we're usually the people that can invite people over and throw a party and not really have to run around and go get anything, or maybe a thing or two. But food, for something like this, food is not the freezer section. Food is canned goods, canned vegetables, non-perishables, pastas.
Time out real quick.
Sure.
Non-perishables. You folks need to forget about the damn milk sandwiches.
Yeah, really.
Bread and milk are the two most perishable items in any grocery store.
Yeah.
Stop it. You look ridiculous.
Yeah, y'all look dumb.
That being said, I've got plenty of bread.
Well, I mean, it's one thing to want to have whatever, but just don't act like that's what's going to get you through. No. What's going to get you through is the ability to keep yourself and your family clean, dry, warm, protected, healthy, and not calorie deficient. I know there's a big old fat pudgy dude on the internet talking about calorie deficiency, but this is a thing, right? If you don't, he looks like he wants to say something so funny.
No, I'm gonna let that one go.
Okay, thank you. I could probably go for a month and just be fine. But
I did say water was water.
Yeah,
so
water.
It's the most important. Just saying.
Yeah, water for sure.
Continue. I'm gonna quit derailing your train of thought here.
So a 1 pound bag of rice, a 1 pound bag of beans, and the way to keep some meat cured out is way more important than anything else you're buying right now. So if you don't have a 1 pound bag of beans, a 1 pound bag of rice, some sugar, some alcohol, and yeah, I know, #Corona fever. Like, it's funny, but some serious high test alcohol to sterilize things, that stuff can go a long way. The other thing that I'm a real big fan of are what I would call the yuppie MRE, Mountain House meals, freeze-dried meals in a bag. That's what I like to keep in the truck and the hunting camp set up in the back of my F-150 with the rooftop tent and all that other cool shit, right?
Right.
Under all that is some distilled water and a bunch of these Mountain House meals and a little jet boil stove with a couple things of fuel. That'll take you a long, long way. One of those Mountain House meals is enough calories for 2 meals for one person, or 1 meal for 2 people. So if you got some Mountain House in there, 2 Mountain House a day will take care of 2 people.
Well, yeah, I mean, so speaking to the MRE piece of it, right? If you want to go to your local military surplus or order them online and actually get U.S. military MREs, we don't eat like 2 or 3 of those a day. Yep. We break those things down. If we're going out on a patrol or anything like that, we break those things down and we put 2 or 3 in our pack for a weeks-long mission. And you munch on it throughout like one should last you a full day.
Right. And nobody, like, field strip, what he's talking about is field stripping MREs. You don't have to take that big, thick MRE pack and put it in your bag. You strip it down and you put the component parts in their own compartments in your bag, and that way you're not taking unnecessary bulk.
Right.
It's, something as simple as some MREs or some Mountain House or whatever. Hand sanitizer has always been a big part of my plan, just because I don't like to carry extra soap or whatever. So I've always had hand sanitizer in the truck. But right now, clearly, we're talking about a viral pandemic kind of thing. That's a big, important key. Illumination is not a requirement for survival, but it is for sure a requirement for convenience and what I would call a level of mental norm, right? You want to be able to turn on the lights when something scares you. So having a flashlight with some rechargeable 18650s is good. There's a company called Goal Zero that makes portable power options that you can charge up, that also run off of solar and cranks. So they have those crank lanterns and all that stuff. I mean, all that stuff I keep in the truck, and it's, if the lights went out right here, right now, I just flip on my Surefire and walk upstairs and see what's going on. It's not that big a deal. If you live your whole life without a flashlight, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's pretty simple.
No, so let's touch on that real quick. So I was one of those guys that I don't need to carry a flashlight every day. Mm-hmm. I don't go out at night. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I work my 8 to 5 or my 9 to 5. I come home. I'm not going out partying. And right. Like many things, Kent, old buddy, you talked me into it, and I went ahead and picked up a string light. Right. And I'm not talking the light mounted on my weapon. Right? There's always been a light mounted on my weapon. Hell, I've even got a light mounted on my 43X and Abraham Lincoln Surefire that goes on my Glock 19 and my 34. But a no shit handheld weapon, handheld light in my pocket with a Theorem pocket clip. I will tell you what, man, when you actually have one of those on you, you use the shit out of it.
Oh yeah.
It truly is an enabler. It's pretty impressive the way that works. So, let's touch on food a little bit more. So we talked about non-perishable items. You talked about the mouse meals. Is there any foods aside from the gross obvious, so like the sweets, the potato chips, Funyuns, all that other dumb shit that might appear to be healthy that somebody might want to stay away from? Well, is there something that appears to be healthy but has no nutritional value?
I mean, well, I don't know about no nutritional value, but people like to load up a lot on fruit during these times.
Mm-hmm.
And while there is nutritional value there, man, that shit spoils real fast. It's really hard to keep going in the field. Another thing I think people do a lot of is they want to grab these like grab and go bars, like these granola bars and shit. Some of them are worse than others as far as perishability and shelf life and stuff like that. What did you have in mind when you asked that question? Were you?
Yeah, so I was trying to lead you down this one, but so iceberg lettuce is actually a perfect example. It's mostly water. So yeah. I guess if you were going to look at it as like a hydration aspect, sure, but it definitely doesn't have the caloric intake that you would probably want to sustain yourself, right? Or have the calorie count that you would need to sustain yourself. I'm looking at you, vegans. But also, and this is surprising because it's more commonly canned and people see it as a canned good and thus non-perishable, and to a large extent that's correct, but corn.
Oh yeah. Well, that's
corn has no nutritional value whatsoever. It is a filler. There is a reason the term corn-fed exists.
Yeah.
So
the thing about corn is, like, not to get too gross or whatever, but there's a reason your body shits out corn whole.
Yeah.
The reason for that is your body didn't use anything at all.
Right.
Right. So your body extracted no nutrients from that. I will, however, say that keeping some corn around to use as a substitute for flour, like cornmeal.
Oh yeah, dried corn for long sustainment, making cornmeal, stuff like that. You're right. There are cooking aspects or supplementary aspects to corn, but It's not something that I would consider worthy of being thrown in your pack in the event of a, call it a bug out situation, right? Or
Right.
hell, even a bug in situation. I mean, if we got down to it, there is a psychological impact and benefit to consuming something when you're starving to death.
Yes.
So if it's that or just like falling over and dying of starvation, then sure, eat some corn. But don't think that it's going to sustain you for the long haul. Right. So
Oh, speaking of starvation, quick pro tip. Right now, start soaking your dog's food in barbecue sauce. That way you can begin to marinate them from the inside so that
that's
in
so
100 days,
sad.
when you have to eat them, they won't taste terrible. Let's see. Oh, Paul's talking about his Olight. Olight makes decent lights as long as they're not on guns. I don't care what Mr. Guns and Gear says. They're not paying me to endorse them, so I won't. But dude, for a handheld flashlight, hell yeah, whatever. As long as it's bright and the battery lasts, go right to town.
I like the fact that they're rechargeable with a USB plug.
Yeah,
because
roger that.
you can get those battery packs, to recharge your phone. I travel for work and stuff. You don't always want to plug into a wall socket. Get you
Right.
one of those 3,000 milliamp hour battery packs, and you can recharge those things probably 3-4 times before you need an actual wall outlet.
Yeah,
But-
Goal Zero rocks for that with those foldable solar panels that hook up to those things.
Mhm.
I love those in the rooftop tent camping application.
Yeah,
It really works out great.
Absolutely. So, all right. So we talked about food, and if you're just joining us, folks, again, we apologize for the delay. We did have some technical difficulties at the beginning of this broadcast, but we are essentially using the coronavirus outbreak as an example for proper emergency preparedness. And I'll be honest with you, while the opinions vary in the scientific community about the true severity of this virus outbreak, I think this is probably the most severe situation that Kent, you and I have been in on a national scale.
Yeah.
Right. I know my grandmother was, she was born at the tail end of God rest her. She was born at the tail end of the Great Depression. They went through all that. Then, of course, later on, you had the Cuban Missile Crisis. There were several national emergencies that had everybody on edge. Gasoline was rationed to certain extents. There were certain cutbacks that were made where the entire American populace felt a pinch. This is the first in our generation.
Yeah, I mean 9/11, but 9/11 didn't disrupt services for
not to the level that this is. It's not the same, right?
Nope.
So you're talking about, you got people spreading rumors about a potential national quarantine where everyone's got to stay in their homes, right? I mean, that's a giant sneeze away from martial law.
Yeah,
but the shit's getting real, right? And whether or not that's actually going to happen remains to be seen. But regardless of what the White House has released about it not happening, I'll believe it when I see it. But the mayhem that has been ensuing following the outbreak of this virus has been absolutely ridiculous. So actually, seeing people rip all the toilet paper and Kleenex off the shelves, not a baby wipe to be found anywhere.
Yeah, so fuck you people. Some of us actually have babies.
Yeah, I was just about to get to that. I really hope the people hoarding the baby wipes actually have kids. But we saw in the wake of the mass hysteria and the panic buying for non-essential shit paper. We figured it'd be a good opportunity to talk about this stuff. So we just got done talking about the food aspect. We've got 3 other things to talk about. So water sources, shelter, and fire. So I think we should go to the next easiest. I guess that'd be fire, right? You got to have a way to cook the food, right? No power, no emergency. Now, you alluded to a jet boil. For those that don't know, can you explain kind of what that whole jet boil thing is?
Sure. So a jet boil is condensed liquid propane, 110 fuel canister. So it looks like a little hockey puck that you screw into the bottom of a stove and open a valve. And when that valve is open, you hit a striker and it ignites a flame. and now you have like little pots and stuff that you can boil and cook on. So a jet boil is like a camper's best friend. My jet boil setup is shorter than this Corona, and a little wider. So fits in a pack real easy. It's nice and small. I actually have three jet boil setups. One stays in the hunting gear, one stays in my truck, and one stays in Sophie's Jeep. So at any point, we have the ability to boil water. So, obviously that can be used as a fire source if it needs to be. But the other thing it's really good at doing is purifying water, because if you can get water anywhere and boil it enough, eventually you can kill the, parasites and germs and whatever else. Another thing for quote unquote fire is consider your household heating system. What keeps your home warm. And if you don't have a fireplace, have a backup for that. So kerosene heaters are good. Ceramic heaters that run off electricity are good. Generators come in real handy. I love when people with propane or fuel oil tell me that they'll be fine because their heat doesn't rely on electricity. And I ask them what runs their thermostat. And they look at me with four heads, and I say, well, electricity runs your thermostat, so you can't heat anyway.
Right.
Sorry.
So we should exercise some due care here. If you are going to use an alternative heating source, such as a kerosene heater, the propane, sunflower burners, I know I use them to heat my garage. Be sure to read your manufacturer's suggested instructions and cautions and directions to properly use those. Carbon monoxide is a real danger. And it is a silent killer. So you guys need to be careful with that and make sure that you are using those things in a very well ventilated area. But when in doubt, always consult your manufacturer's manual on that particular appliance. But with that being said, the A1 kerosene burners, those propane sunflower burners, dude, I love those things.
Me too.
Did you pick up a sponsor with a shitty beer company?
Maybe. Let's see. So another thing about fire real quick is if you have any level of like property or land around you at all, for God's sakes, have some wood on hand so that you can make a bonfire or make a fire in a fire pit. Number one, really helpful for boiling water. Number two, you can cook off of it. Number three, if the only light around is your fire, at least you'll have some light. That'll make you feel better. And number four, human beings have been subsisting around campfires for generations. And I don't care what you say, right about now, as important as anything else is morale. So campfires are fun. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Remember, if you have a pilot light, Sarah has a great point. Don't store a shitload of fuel by your pilot light.
Yeah. Exposed flame is usually a bad thing.
On the other hand, suddenly the virus doesn't seem so bad.
When you've burst into flames.
Because, poof.
Yeah, well, don't got to worry about COVID-19 anymore. So with that, here's the thing too. You make an excellent point with the social gathering aspect. Granted, a lot of us have been told not to congregate in groups of 20 or 50 or whatever the case is. You know what? I say to a certain extent, screw that. Naturally, if you're sick, you want to separate and segregate yourself. Do the responsible thing, but don't let a fear for something like this stop you from being a good neighbor. And if you believe as such, a good Christian, my family have been lucky enough to have really good neighbors surrounding us in where we live now, and some of them are rather elderly. I know one of our immediate neighbors. They're in their 80s. They're a married couple in their 80s. We typically see their family coming around, and luckily we saw their family come around the last couple days, but the wife and I were starting to discuss going over and checking on them and seeing if they needed any groceries, fetched for them or anything like that. Be a good neighbor, be a good person. Don't let the panic change who you are.
You weren't talking about going to check on them. You were going to raid their house for TP and hand sanitizer.
Nah, man, that dude's a Korean War veteran. I'm pretty sure he'd kill me 17 ways before I hit the ground.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. The other thing I'm going to say to that too is that when you're this type of person, like TJ or myself or whatever, friends and family, neighbors, relatives tend to reach out to you in times like these and say, what should I do? Or what shouldn't I do? Or how do I prepare? Whatever. Look, be the best version of yourself. Help people. Don't be that guy sitting there going, oh, I told you should have bought ammo, or I told you should have, just be helpful. And hopefully next time there'll be a better mindset, but always be willing to help. So one of the things that I want to bring up that is often forgot in these kind of conversations is some general man skills and tools, right? Because ain't nobody coming to fix your plumbing. Ain't nobody coming to fix your heat or your air conditioner. Maybe you want to be able to keep your own car running, et cetera, et cetera. So having a garage full of awesome tools and equipment is pretty nice right about now. Or
if you don't, see the point we just made about being a good neighbor. Because while you might have a spare can of food or a spare 5-gallon container of fresh water that you can give to your neighbor, maybe that neighbor has an extensive shop and skills that he or she might be willing to help you with in a time that you need the help, right?
Absolutely. The barter economy is real.
Oh, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. So while we're on that topic, let's go into your quote unquote man skills. Water, right?
Water.
What are some acceptable methods of storing, and how much water should you have?
Well, storing becomes difficult for most people in most modern homes. I keep some in the garage in jerry cans, but that's hard for a lot of people to do. I think what's way more important is to be able to purify what you can gather on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big fan of Life Straws and Life Straw water bottles. Those things are awesome for drinking water. They kill most of the beaver fever stuff that's going to give you a real rough time out there. But, most of you live next to a water source. You just don't think of it. You live by a creek, or you live by a river, a stream, a pond, a low-lying area, a depression, culverts, whatever. Water is water, and once it's purified and once it's been filtered, it's generally pretty usable. So having some basic water filtration is key. Iodine tablets are very useful. There's several different acceptable standards for bleach to sanitize and purify water. A certain part per million rating for bleach. So you get one of those bleach sandy tabs, and 1 gallon of water, 1 tab plus 1 gallon of water equals sanitized. So that's always good to go to have around. Things like that are well useful.
Now, Kit, you mentioned something to me while we were talking about, sanitizing surfaces and stuff. You were talking about contact. Was it contact time?
Oh yeah. So
just for the people out there that I know are going to wonder, if I take that little Clorox or that little chlorine tab and I throw that in that gallon of water, I can drink it immediately, right?
Negatory, Ghost Rider. No. So chemical contact time is essentially put the length of exposure that a given chemical needs to a bacteria in order to significantly reduce its ability to spread. I used to be a sales hack for a chemical company for a bunch of years. I am nobody's chemist, but I know this stuff well enough to sell it. When it comes to surfaces, surface contact time is how long you have to leave a sanitizing solution on a surface in order for it to kill a virus or germs or bacteria, etc. So y'all that are running around with Lysol spray and Lysoling the whole world and then coming right behind the Lysol and wiping it all down, you're fucked up like a football bat. Lysol's contact kill time on this particular COVID, it's probably a couple minutes. I don't know it. I know certain other brands kill claims at times and ratios, but it's a good practice to leave that stuff sit on a surface for a while and then come back and wipe it off. So if you're making a 50 or 100 part per million bleach solution to kill this stuff and you're wiping down every countertop in your house, put that stuff in a spray bottle, spray it on the surface, go around and spray every other surface that you're going to spray, and then go back to the first one that you sprayed and wipe that off. And if you've done that, it should take you about 90 seconds to, maybe as many as 180 seconds, depending on how big your kitchen is. And that'll leave you a long enough contact time to kill the majority of these germs. So this stuff is not instantaneous.
Yeah, and so that carries over to any type of water purification tablets, or if you go the old school method and decide to use a few drops of liquid bleach into a water source. You guys need to keep track of this stuff. And these are things that you should be Googling or looking up or researching yourself. There are several. Now, let's be real here. In a time of real crisis, if the grid goes down and there's no internet, no Google, there are these things that people used to use not too long ago called books. And a lot of those have some really good information. Might want to pick up a couple of books. I know that I keep a few on camping and survival, as well as field first aid.
Yes, ditch medicine.
Yep. So,
medicine.
You know what? While we're on the topic, be sure to head over to darkangelmedical.com. Use code BB15 at checkout for 15% off your purchase. And be sure to leave a comment in the description of your order of the Sling'N Lead podcast so Carrie knows that we sent you. We get no kickbacks for that. We've had Carrie on the show before. He's a good friend of the show, and we like to support local American businesses. And he puts out some great products. So Kent and I trust Carrie, and we trust his products, and we use them. We carry them. God forbid we have to use them.
Yeah, been there, done that. Not on the range, thank God. Oh well,
yeah.
Once.
So real quick, on the water topic, Paul is commenting. Paul Gwynn in the YouTube chat is talking about having filters. Filters are actually a great backup. So like the Life Straw brand, or I think Sawyer's, the local big box store brand, very similar kind of a Life Straw thing. Here's the thing with all this stuff that we're talking about, folks. So in the military, we have these things called a PACE plan, PACE, primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. You should have a primary, a backup to that primary, a backup to your backup, and a backup to your backup to your backup. So maybe that is, I've got 100-gallon drums where I'm collecting rainwater for storage. I'll purify it with, maybe a built-in filtration system that you've got running to your house or in a tool shed or something. So that's your primary. Your secondary or your alternate would be using chlorine tabs or some type of purification like that. Contingency would be over a fire, either distilling your own water to burn out the impurities, and your emergency would be a Life Straw type deal. So the 2 is 1, 1 is none type approach, folks. So don't just limit yourselves to having one method for any of the things that we're talking about.
Very good point. And also keep in mind that some of these methods are going to require space and weight constraints. And oh my God, I sound like nothing fancy. My brain.
It's okay. This live broadcast is sure to be shorter than his videos.
So my emergency, like the Life Straw thing, is a thing I keep in a bag in the truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to carry RO filters and charcoal and an iodine bar and steri strips and a freaking full test kit to run around and titrate my water every 5 minutes. Sure, I have all that here at the house, but that's going to take up a lot of valuable space in my pack and my gear to go out and go other places. So just keep that in mind as well. This is another one of those things from the chemical food business that shall remain nameless, but rhymes with Miko Schmab. the folks at Miko Schmab, because you want to talk about suing people, those dudes sue motherfuckers. They make titration test strips for quaternary ammonium sanitizer and for bleach parts per million that are available and sold in all restaurant supply stores. So if you want to know if your bleach solution is right or if your quaternary ammonium sanitizer solution is right, there's actually test strips that will tell you about that. So you don't have to sit there and guess ounces per gallon, which is hard if you're using improvised, methods.
Or if you're just not good at maths.
Right.
Which neither of us are.
No. I don't understand why there have to be so many ounces in a gallon in the first place. But
if only we'd go to the metric system, but that's another discussion. All right, so water, I think we've kind of beat that horse to death and resurrected it and beat it again. With that kind of brings us to our last topic, which is shelter. Right? So house is our primary, of course, your primary dwelling. Makes sense, right? So what are some alternate forms of shelter that you would consider having as like a emergency preparedness kit?
So in my case, I literally have a rooftop tent mounted to my truck. Might be a little far for most, but I have recreational uses for this as well. Pretty cool. CascadiaVehicleTents.com. Use code. We didn't give Kent a code for 0% off when you purchase a tent from CVT. But no, they make good stuff. That's probably not a realistic solution for most people. Maybe just have a tent. Have a good old-fashioned Coleman ground tent. Have a freaking tarp and some 550 cord that can be, strewn across some objects. P.S. Most everybody hearing the sound of my voice has a house. Effing stay there. Unless you feel like your neighbors are going to come over the fence and steal your water, which, if you live in the wrong part of town, may be a problem. But stay in your house if you can, or your apartment or whatever, or go be with family or loved ones. And if you don't have a house, most of you have a car. And, starving actors and actresses in Hollywood can tell you all about what it's like to live in their cars. That's a thing. People can do that. You can absolutely live in your car. And a physical shelter beats the shit out of some improvised nonsense that you saw on Bear Grylls. So, keep that in mind.
Yeah, dude, I used to when I was in college, I had a 1987 Dodge Grand Caravan, and I'll be damned if I didn't sleep in the back of that thing more than once, going to and from drill when I was in the reserves. So, yeah, Sarah, you can sleep in a minivan.
Down by the river. Sarah just told me to shut up in chat, by the way. I don't know what that was about. I can assure you I did nothing wrong. He pronounced his name wrong.
I think it's Bear. Let's see. How do you pronounce it properly? I think it's pronounced I cheat because my crew gives me food and water when I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
I think I pronounced that right. Yeah, maybe it's Italian.
Yeah. It's Bear Triage. Oh, too soon. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, shelter is shelter, and shelter can be improvised. One thing that I will tell you is if you're building a bug out bag or whatever, don't have it stuffed with cotton clothing. Use synthetics. Use good fabric. Under Armour is your friend. Wool is your friend. Merino wool is your friend. Stuff like that is good. You'd be amazed what you can get away with shelter-wise if you have the right gear on your physical person.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be a mountaineer, ski adventurer, backcountry woodsman guy to benefit from some Under Armour and some mid-layering and stuff like that. And no, it doesn't have to be from Arc'teryx either. It doesn't have to cost you $1,000.
Yeah, in my experience, even some of that stuff that costs all that, the high dollar ticket items are not giving you any additional benefit.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, I will. So I will say that if we're comparing materials now, you mentioned merino wool. The merino wool camo equipment that people, or the suits that people will get to go hunting in like Alaska or the crazy cold places where you're paying like $400 for a pair of pants.
Yep.
That shit's legit.
Arc'teryx, Healy Hansen. Oh yeah, that shit saved my rear end in freezing cold Vermont work conditions. Yeah, that stuff's real.
But don't spend the $300 on an Arc'teryx windbreaker. That's that's really meant for temperatures below 65 and a brisk rain, and think it's going to keep you warm in the dead of winter.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
No. Layering is key. You lose a ton of heat through your head and through your feet. That just rhymed, and I didn't try to cheat. Hey.
Oh, dear Christ.
I don't even try that. But no, seriously, wool socks are key. A wool cap, super valuable. Some leather gloves will get you real far. Just some stuff like that. Corey's asking about knives. If only I knew a ginger redneck that lived in his basement and made knives.
I don't live in my basement. I work down here. Let's be clear.
You spend a predominantly high amount of time.
I've been known to hibernate, yes. But with that being said, knives. We can certainly talk about this. So it really goes back to one of the key points that Kent made about having a shop full of tools. And that's really what knives are. One of the things that always drove me nuts when I was a young private in the military was, everyone's too young to purchase their own guns. So what do? They go to the local mall and they go to the knife shop in the mall and they buy shit like samurai swords. And you walk in any private's room and you'll open a drawer and you'll find 50 folding knives and fighting knives and throwing knives and shurikens and all sorts of crazy shit. You don't need to go that crazy. Have a good fixed blade. For survival purposes is kind of like a primary tool that will maybe clip to your back or to your backpack or to your belt. I do recommend the Tops Knives Tom Brown Tracker. I have one of those. I've used it a lot, and it's a fantastic tool. It's the only fixed blade knife I've ever seen that comes with a instruction manual.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's like a 15-page instruction manual because there's different things or different purposes for each part of that blade. So, hey, maybe one day I'll do a review on it. So, certainly recommend that. But a good fixed blade will work. Know that $12 Mora knife that you can find is not... that would be an emergency situation if I ever had to use one of those. I have seen those break time and time again. A multi-tool, right? Mm-hmm. So Leatherman, Gerber, SOG, they all make them. I've owned all the different manufacturers. They all work about the same, but having those, the flathead screwdriver, the Phillips screwdriver, the saw, all that other shit that comes with them is a fantastic multiplier or force multiplier and enabler. I also like to have a good backup, just a pocket knife, something small that folds, throw it into your pocket as a backup to the backup, right? And then, like I said, in an emergency, sure, grab you a couple of cheap Mora knives or Walmart specials, throw them in the glove box of your car and call it good. But yeah, that's really where I would go with it.
Fire starters. Let's talk fire starting.
Oh, okay. I like lighters and gasoline.
Yes, in fact.
No, in all seriousness, truth be told, one of my personal favorites is cotton balls soaked in Vaseline.
Yeah.
And just a Bic lighter. You can a Bic lighter has, I think, 20,000 some odd strikes to it. So the life of these lighters is... I've had the same Bic lighter, and I have this habit of collecting these things. But I've got one in my shop I've had for 6 or 7 years.
Abraham Lincoln gave you the lighter and the X300 at the same time.
Yeah, but that very well may have happened that way. Stop judging my life. But yeah, it's crazy that this thing still works. Zippos, forget it. They run out of fuel too easy. They dry up. Nope. I can't. No, we're gonna have to differ on this one, man.
They make a waterproof camping version that comes in a bomb-proof case.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop the fuel from evaporating too quickly. I'll tell you what. I'll give you a bic. I'll charge you up one of those storm-proof Zippo lighters, and we'll see which one you have to refill in a year, or within. I'll tell you what. Within 2 months.
No.
Yep.
You crazy, man.
Nope. The whole windproof gimmick. Okay, I get it. Fine. But no, it's just sorry. I don't. For a survival situation, if I had to, I would grab a Zippo. But when in doubt, flick your bic, man.
Okay. That's fine.
So, but dryer lint. Let's see. Sarah is saying Zippo does make a pipe lighter that is pretty rad. Gotta say, I know Sarah because I have one. So I say I busted on. I shit all over your idea of a Zippo. And that being said, I have 4 of them in my display case right now that I just kind of stuck them there. I've got a collection of them. They're nice lighters.
No, you talk shit on my Zippo when Sarah says it's a good idea. Now you love it. It's fine. I get it.
No, the pipe lighter's fine, but the idea is the same. The fuel dries up. They can leak. They're a pain in the ass. Bic lighters, those little disposable things, and they're cheap. You get like 100 of them for $1.
You know what I really actually like to have is a butane torch, a small butane torch. I keep in my bags. That thing rocks.
I'll tell you what. So just so we can demonstrate real quick, pause. Can entertain the crowd for a moment.
Oh yeah, this will go great. I'm sure I won't piss anybody off or make any inappropriate jokes while TJ's coming out of the closet and he just couldn't hear me. Holy crap, Charlie!
I'm
Charlie
back.
just jumped on.
Okay,
Charlotte Ramsey in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
Stop kissing up to my wife. But folks, so this is my Tom Brown tracker, right? So very large knife, as you can see, but it's got this large belly on the main chopping blade for chopping, for trees, batoning, sticks down for kindling. You've got a fillet blade here. This is actually this little notch here is meant to be a gut hook. You got a saw blade, and you can actually even use it as a drill. So very, very capable tool, very well made, very stout. It is very heavy though. So
for those of you on podcast, my redneck ginger friend is holding up a piece of metal you cannot see.
I just realized that for the podcast folks. So Tom Brown tracker, folks, you can Google it if you haven't already, because God knows there's plenty of reviews on these things out there. But yeah. So
what else?
But yeah, but this is my primary knife. But I will say this, it is heavy as shit. So carry this thing around. That's why I mentioned the first thing was strapping it to your pack or clipping it onto your belt, because it will wear your arms out chopping wood with this thing. But that being said, I very rarely, if ever, have to sharpen it because it's very well made.
So it's 10:30. We've been on here almost an hour.
Yep.
It's the Sling'N podcast, and we haven't said shit about guns.
We were going to get to that because
not a goddamn thing.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to that because we talked about, food, water, shelter, fire. So the next part, naturally, is protection, the ability to forage for food, i.e. that fuzzy little rabbit, right? Or maybe that deer, and anything else that we would like to add. So the miscellaneous category. I know Sarah in chat mentioned a year's worth of coffee.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. Whiskey, coffee and whiskey.
Yeah. Coffee, whiskey, all those kinds of things. So you wanted to talk since
condoms, coffee, whiskey, and condoms. There's going to be a lot of children born in 9 months. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, this is true. If they haven't figured out any of that stuff, the prophylactics and contraceptives by now, this podcast ain't gonna help them. But with that being said, so protection, defense. So let's talk about that. So as you said, this is Sling'N podcast. Might as well talk about guns too.
Yeah.
So Kent, what's in your loadout?
Oh boy. Well, I may or may not have stuffed a couple Magpul D60s full of M855. That's new for me. 12 gauge is happy. 2 rifles are happy. Sophie's carry gun, my carry gun. That's really about it. If the shit really gets loud and crazy, I guess maybe I'll break out some 308s. Maybe I'll just go plinking with my 22 because I can't afford to shoot up all my 9mm right now. Who knows? But your quote-unquote defensive loadout should really be no different than what it is for any other time in your life right now, right? If you are in a place where you seriously feel like the looters are coming over the horizon, boy, I tell you what, time to get a realtor, I guess. I hate that thought, and I know people who feel that way right now, and it sucks. But, the shit could hit the fan, so having a weapon light is key. The power could go out. 5.56 rifle, 12-gauge shotgun, Grandpa's 30-30. I don't know. Break out something. Be ready for it. And maintenance your shit. Make sure all your stuff's working.
Yeah, because even the veritable perfection Glocks can go down, right, Kent?
Yeah, I broke 2 Glocks in the last 10 days.
Yeah, so I like 3 things. Well, now we'll take I like 4 things when we're talking about oh shit situations. So 5.56 or 2.23, whatever. But 5.56, 9mm, 12 gauge, and 22.
Yeah, 22 is key right now.
Of all the guns that I've got in my collection, I know which 4 or 5 things, because you got to equip your loved ones, right? I'm not gonna grab the go bags and the kids and the wife and be like, oh, by the way, honey, I've got all the guns. Good luck. I'm gonna make sure she's defended as well and that she's capable of handling that. And by all means, if my children are of age and responsible enough and I feel that they can handle the responsibility, they're going to get armed too. It might be with a 22 pistol. It might be with a 10-22 rifle, but got to keep everybody equally defended. And the reality of the situation is the more teeth you can bear, the harder the target you become. So, but with that, whatever you choose, go ahead.
1 point. If you're driving around right now in public, going to Walmart with a plate carrier and a rifle in your truck, maybe guilty, maybe not. Just keep in mind that you kind of stand out for law enforcement. So maybe Grandpappy's 30-30 in the back of the truck may not be such a bad idea.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, there was another. Now, I'll go ahead and shout them out. I recall Primary and Secondary podcast doing a special on non-standard weapons.
1 minute. I'll be right back.
Sure. So, folks, with that, whatever you decide with respect to what you're going to use to defend yourself and maybe even forage for food, I think you need to keep in mind, you have to have kind of a very military mindset when it comes to this. And that is the ability to sustain that equipment and a uniformity across your loadout. So let's say, for example, that I'm going to arm my wife and my one or if not both of my children, again, depending on their age. If I'm going to give my wife a rifle and a pistol, it's going to be compatible with the rifle and pistol that I have. Maybe I've got a Glock 17 or a 34 and my 5.56 rifle with an AR-15 pattern magazine. Her pistol is going to be a Glock 19 that could take my magazines and a similar rifle. Same thing with the kids. If they're going to have, say, a 22, I'm going to make sure that both of their weapons have compatible attachments and equipment. So things to think about, right? So while we talked about those 4 calibers that I really like, I'm going to make sure that we have some uniformity and cross-compatibility between everybody's platforms to keep everybody operational and functional.
Also, revolvers are a great idea right now.
No, they are not.
Yes, they are.
We have, you know what? Is that rooftop tent on your horse and buggy?
Yes, God damn it.
We don't need that. We don't need that old technology.
Sure we do.
No, in all seriousness, revolvers are fine. Always, everybody needs a backup or a doorstop.
Oh my God. Or how about the ability to shoot some birdshot?
That's what the 12 gauge is for.
Yeah, but if I have a little rat shot and, I can shoot a squirrel or
That's what the 22 is for.
a Maltese or something.
I've got that 9mm, by the way, and it will cycle in my Glock 43X.
Interesting. Does it really run the slide?
Yep. Yep.
I might have to experiment with that.
Yeah, if you don't mind spending $2 a round, but it works.
Yeah.
So
true that. I fucked up my angle on my camera. Yeah, so let's see what else. Anything else? Med kits. We talked about med shit.
We talked about medical.
Oh, emergency communications.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like to talk to people.
Thanks. Love you too, bro. See you when the zombies are dead. It's fine.
I hate to tell you this, Kent, but when the internet and cell phones go down, our friendship is over.
Yeah, no shit.
I'm just going to show up on your doorstep. Can we come in? I know I haven't talked to you in like 6 months because I've been walking here and scavenging for food like the Walking Dead. No, seriously. So alternative forms of communication. CB radios are good. If you want to go get the licensing, ham radios are awesome.
Dude, it's COVID-19. Ain't nobody worried about no licensing.
Yeah, I will say this. In the event that there is such a situation, I'm not too worried about asking for permission to use a communications platform. But what really helps, when we talk about people getting training and how to use that stuff properly, what comes with those certifications or that licensing is generally a pretty damn good education on how to use the equipment. You're getting robot voice, Kent. So speaking of using communications equipment, we'll wait for him to come back on so Kent is the resident ham radio expert between the two of us. Like I said, I've got one. I don't have the licensing for it, but I don't use it to transmit yet. So it is really good for receiving information. Kent, you are muted, by the way. It automatically muted you when you plugged it back in. There we go. We got you back. So yeah, ham radios. Talk about it.
Baofangs are great. They come in like blister packs on Amazon. Well, I guess you're fucked on Amazon now because there's coronavirus in the warehouse or whatever, so they're not operating anymore. But get your hands on some Baofang radios. Those are good. Talk to your local ham radio club. Find out what your repeater signal is, what your squelch is, all that good shit. Know how to tune in. Know how to listen. Learn the frequencies for your local analog fire repeater and dispatch stuff. Go to Radio Shack. Yes, Radio Shack is still a place. Get yourself a digital police scanner, stuff like that, so that you can know what's going on out there in the world. Just like anything else, I mean, keep in mind that, when you open yourself up to communication, you open yourself up to communication with the whole freaking world. The internet is a terrible place. So is ham radio in a hurricane or a disaster. Truckers, CB radio, all that good stuff. Learn how to communicate on one of these things. It's a good basic, safety net. I'm also a big fan of my Garmin InReach. Although right now, I hate to tell you, but if I hit the little button, I don't know if anybody's coming to save me or not. So maybe not the greatest thing in this particular endeavor, but
you hit the ginger signal, buddy. I'm coming for you.
I'll be there in 6 months with a corgi. Yeah,
well, I can't guarantee the corgi would make it.
Start feeding barbecue sauce now.
Sorry, honey. We've been fattening him up for a reason. Just saying. I'll bring Daisy. I'll bring the Mastiff. I can ride her. I could make it in 3 months. So Sarah
Corey wants to.
Oh, go ahead.
Corey wants to know why Baofang. Real easily because the battery packs and all the equipment is readily available and is all easily convertible to 12 volts so that you can plug it in and run it off your vehicle. That's why Baofang.
and they are plentiful. They're the Honda Civic.
Yes.
They're not particularly the best technology. I mean, it's Baofeng. It's a Chinese company anyway.
Yep.
But then again, what isn't? But with that being said, anything you see on like ham radio type communication chats or groups or anybody recommending anything, you will see a proliferation of the Baofeng brand. So Sarah brings up a great question, or at least a great point, and that is the importance of having the conversation with your kids about expectations with firearms. You know, with defense, guys, stranger danger becomes all that much more important when you're talking about a bug out scenario or an emergency situation. That person coming and knocking on your door saying that they're here to give you the shots to protect you from that virus outbreak might not necessarily be good people. Right?
Yeah, don't take needles from strangers. Hashtag duh.
Yeah, so what this really comes down to is instilling that level of discipline in your kids. And I know Mrs. Sling'N and Ginger's in the chat here, but she and I have had this conversation, and it's led to some debate, right? More or less me getting the stink eye, and people, not just her, but other family members wondering why I'm so hard on our kids, right? And Kent, you were here. You saw how I interact with them. I'm very stern and I'm very direct and to the point. And the reason being is because if they won't listen to me or to their mother and respect and heed our direction and guidance when it's doing something simple like cleaning their room or doing their chores, when their life depends on it, and I tell them to get out of the street because there's a car coming, I don't need them talking back or taking a minute to go, huh? They need to listen and follow those directions because their life may depend on it, right? So while I'm not telling anybody how to raise their children, it's very much at that point, and you need to have that conversation with them and instill that discipline in them to make sure that they can stay safe and listen to you when you are issuing that guidance and direction. So,
yeah, I mean, you're not that hard on your kid. Like, you let your son out of the room where he was tied to the radiator for at least like 20 minutes while I was there.
Well, yeah, he had to wash the dishes.
Right.
And then he went right back. And I want no lip. So that's a joke. We don't keep him chained to a radiator. We don't have a radiator. He's chained to the bed. But yeah, so have that conversation with your kids. So I've actually been asked the question, how have you been actually, Ken, I think you even asked me this question.
I did.
How have we been addressing the concerns over COVID-19 and the ensuing craziness to our children? So my son's 11, my daughter just turned 5. And the reality of the situation is, the 11-year-old gets it. He understands. We made sure that he understood that, listen, this isn't, for him at least, a life-threatening disease. He's in no danger, but he does need to listen to us, and he does need to take the proper precautions. I don't know if any of you notice this, but children are disgusting. Picking their boogers, chewing their fingers, picking anything up off the ground and then immediately putting their hands in their eye or their mouth or whatever. Kent, you haven't gotten to experience that quite just yet, but you will, I promise you.
Yeah. So if you put...
No, go ahead.
Nope.
Nope. You gotta evac. It's a trap.
Nope.
No. So with our 5-year-old, excuse me,
I broke him.
Yeah, you broke the ginger. So with our 5-year-old, though, it's a little bit different. She doesn't know any better. She certainly isn't going to understand the concept of Jesus. She's going to understand the concept of a viral outbreak and all these precautions and, quarantine and all that stuff. The best thing you can do is just try to remember the kindness, and you don't want to reflect. Kids will read your feelings and emotions, right?
Yep.
So if you panic and you're afraid, it's going to translate to your children, and they're going to start being afraid. They're not even going to understand why. It's just going to make life all that much more difficult. So everybody, I would hope, has a solid enough understanding of relationship with their children to be able to gauge for themselves what you can and cannot explain to your kids. Right? The last thing you need, though, is more people panicking. That includes your children.
And your spouse.
And your spouse, right.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to it's really hard for us to let go as parents and as fathers who think we can control everything and keep everybody safe and whatever else. You know, at the end of the day, we don't have a lot of power over this situation. So we kind of got to let go of that too.
Let's see. What else are we getting in the chat here? Sarah is lighting us up as usual. So let's see. Let's see. Convo. Stove is off. Water off. Locks checked. Typical pre-bedtime checks for us. Pet-related instructions. All right. So a lot of you people, there's a lot of people that are not going to like me with this one. But if you're staying in your house, don't forget while you're panic buying toilet paper to pick up some extra dog food. Right?
Yeah, but screw the cat.
Mm-hmm.
He can eat. The house panther can go outside and eat squirrels.
He actually kills. Yeah, he hunts birds and squirrels and all sorts of shit. He's on his own. I do not have a cordial relationship with the first animal identified and proven by science to be the first one to eat their owner if they die in the house. Okay, sorry, cat's on his own. But with your dogs, other small animals, make sure you stock up on food for them. If you can't get out and get food for yourself, you could always have the argument about table scraps and stuff like that, but I'm sorry, that's food for us. If we're having to stretch and ration and make things last, I'm certainly not going to be giving any leftovers to the animals, right? So make sure that you take those precautions. Buy that extra bag of dog food or two to get you through. I would say at least a 30-day supply, maybe 2-month supply if you can. Dog food has a pretty decent shelf life. With that being said, in a bug out situation, I'm sorry, but the animals ain't coming.
I disagree.
Go ahead. Explain.
Well, I might not bring all 3 of them, but I'm bringing the ones smart enough to listen to me and alert me to trouble and things of that nature. Fair. I got one dog that's going to put in some work and do her fair share. And if we end up in a survival situation somewhere out in the hinterlands, I've got one dog I can read off of. Maybe even I'm getting to the point where the whole pack now I can read off of and trust their instincts and their judgment and watch the way they handle themselves. I mean, all you got to do is take my dogs camping, and anytime, literally, Karma the Golden Retriever got in an argument with a moose in Vermont 2 summers ago. So there's that.
She had Golden Retriever related grievances to log with management.
She did. Her and the moose they were having an argument.
1,300-pound manager. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So she kept looking back at me, by the way, being like, Dad, shoot this prick. Dad, are you going to shoot this prick? And I was like, well, he's a moose. I can't really, it's not really allowed right now. She's like, I'm going to fuck him up. Like, yeah. So,
You get into that fight, I'll back you up if he gets squirrely or his friends jump in.
Yeah, really.
And you bring up a good point, but I think that if you guys haven't picked up on it yet, the resounding theme is things are going to be different for every individual situation. If you have a working dog or a retired working dog or a dog that's well trained and disciplined, they'll probably do well for you out there, right? There'll be a good companion. Hell, we all saw the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith.
Oh yeah.
That dog had its shit together. Mine, however,
it's going to be like a circus. Like it's just the apocalypse circus.
We could probably bring the corgi because he would alert us to everything.
Yeah.
Oversensitive security system. So every twig break, squirrel fart, or intruder will get barked at. But yeah, it's just one of those things. That's why I really hope I don't ever have to do anything like that. My planning has always been to stay in.
Yeah, same.
So
Yeah. There's not too many places in the world that I'm better equipped to take care of myself and my family than right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't know. Part of it's the work that the dogs could put in, and part of it's like, I don't know, bro. They're family to me. Like, I'm gonna do what I can.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That said, I'm not afraid to eat a Lhasa Apso. That one is going. First opportunity I get to murder and saute that dog. It's over. Anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, the Mastiff we could probably just like use if we captured somebody, we could use her to weigh them down.
Well, she could carry a lot of weight.
Yeah, she can, which would mostly be her food.
At least she can carry her own food.
This is true. We have a Mastiff / pack mule.
Perfect.
But yeah, so that is what it is. That really about covers it. I think we've really beaten that. I think we should,
dude,
we
could go forever.
Yeah, we certainly could go on with that, but I think we need to save it for a part 2 because you know what? Come day 10 of the quarantine, we're gonna need some shit to talk about.
That's a great point too. In closing to this, y'all, fucking take care of each other, please. Like, let's not do anything stupid or rash. Let's try to take care of each other out there. Let's not freak out on each other, our spouses, our families. Get out, do something good, be the best version of yourself you possibly can be. Get out and train with your guns, learn to work on your house. You're quarantined in your home, time to read a good book, time to relax a little bit, be productive if you can be. But we'll get through this. It's not like, other people in the world don't live with craziness all day long. So just be kind, be cautious, and be prepared. GreenMountainDefense.com/training if you want to come play on a gun range with me. The governor of Pennsylvania has closed all non-essential businesses. I consider firearms training to be essential. Therefore, I am still open. So there. Nothing changing. And, pull the handle on your reloading press a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Don't wait. Guys, we didn't really talk about ammunition, but we can cover it real quick. If you're waiting until places like Cheaper Than Dirt start jacking their prices up to $1.50 a round for 5.56, and you're paying $1,000 today, what would have cost you $250 a week ago, you're doing something wrong. So, not going to say you need to have 1 million rounds for everything, although I will admit ammunition is a great barter item.
Hell yeah.
But keep that in mind. Get what you're comfortable with. You should have, in my opinion, a standard combat loadout for everything, which if you go by military standards, that's about 210 rounds for rifle, 75 rounds for pistol, and whatever you'd want to carry for shotgun. So it's really that simple. However your loadout's going to go, make sure you've got enough to stay in the fight. Should a fight ever come to you.
Yeah, and don't go looking for one. Now ain't the time.
Yeah, no shit. So, I did hear one of the side effects of COVID-19 is you turn into John Rambo.
Oh, dude, you have no idea.
But with that, folks, Kent, as always, a pleasure getting to do this with you whenever we get the opportunity. Now that we have a functioning, for now, streaming service, should be able to get back on the regular schedule of doing this. Stay tuned, folks. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We do have Tim Herron,
yes,
a very well-respected performance shooter that's going to be coming on the show with us here in the near future. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time we go live. Of course, be sure to check out ritonoptics.com. Go check out their new 2020 lineup. Kent, as you can see, has sold his soul and is the corporate whore for tonight. He is rocking the Riton garb and the shirt. You got the shirt too, right? That awesome Pro Staff shirt. Yeah, those are slick, super comfortable. But yeah, head on over there, check them out. No longer any discount codes for those folks. Sorry about that. But frankly, all the other online retailers that you're going to find will have them at a far better deal than our discount codes would have gotten you. But by all means, be sure to give us a shout out in the comments section whenever you order them. Just way they know that you're listening to us and that we're doing our job. So with that, until we see each other again, God bless you all. Take care of each other and get out and shoot.
Everybody, be safe.